Think we are live now. Okay, hi there everyone. It's Global Scholarships, and I'm your host. As I hope you're all doing well. I hope everything is going great. And as always, we are here with another weekly live stream, another Friday, another live stream. We're here to answer your questions, to give you as much information as we can about studying abroad, about scholarships, and of course, which is why I have Ayman with me. Hi, Ayman. How are you? How are things going with you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well too. Thank you very much. So, everyone, if you're new here, we are Global Scholarships. We have a platform to share like informative stuff about scholarships, about studying abroad, general stuff. It's completely free. As you can see, live streams are free, videos are free. I mean, it's YouTube, and then we have a completely free platform. There's no pricing, there's no registry or any create an account or something. You can just go in and start learning about scholarships. Right now, there are not that many scholarships, but we have some, and there are some great opportunities. So, like, if you can just apply in time, and if you can get them, they can change your life basically. So yeah, we have scholarships. We have stuff about scholarships. Some fully funded scholarships, like government scholarships. Government scholarships are always very popular, obviously, because they are extremely generous. You can read about those scholarships by country. A lot of times people want to study in a specific country, but like it is always expensive. Some countries are more expensive than others. And of course, so like you don't have much fun. So like maybe depending on the country, sometimes you need more scholarships, sometimes you don't need as much, which is why I have been making videos about like how much does it cost to study in a country. For example, we've just made a short. We also made a longer version a couple of weeks earlier. Like how much does it take to study in Japan, for example? I mean, Japan is a very popular choice for a lot of people to go study in, just like South Korea. And like, yeah, but how much does it cost? Because it can be a very expensive country, especially if you want to go study in somewhere like Tokyo. Like rents are like very high, and if you're lucky, you need to pay like very high amounts of rent to live in like a tiny bit of space. But then, like when you compare it to somewhere like United States, like some places in the United States can be much more affordable, but then you have to pay about like $40,000 tuition fee. So it's like, yeah, different countries have different aspects. So like if you're interested in a specific country and want to learn like what opportunities they have, what are some pros, cons, like are they expensive? Is it difficult to live in? Can I find like can I pay my rent, or am I gonna suffer just the tuition fees? Like, am I going to start every year with owing the university about $40,000? So yeah, which is why like you can just go in and learn about the country, scholarships by country, or we do have country guides as well. I think those are great. Here under the guide section, you can find you all. Basically, these are just like certain collections that we have. For example, if you want to study in China, you can just click here, or let's say Australia, and you'll find a lot of guides here from like how to choose universities, how to do all kinds of things like application fees. For example, 5 Australian universities with no application fees. I don't think we've made a video about this. Yeah, we've done it, but it's been quite a while. I wasn't here, so maybe I should do another one. So yeah, guys, we have a lot of stuff in here. We have a search tool, completely free search tool, where you can just like search for scholarships very easily and completely free. This is the search tool. As you can see, this is just like, let me share the link. This is what you see when you go to our website. There's no like hidden prices like or hidden payments or anything like that. We also don't ask you to like give us your information so we can sell it to a data broker or something. No, it's just you just go in globalscholarships.com, and if you have anything in mind, any country, any school, a program, a specific scholarship that you might have heard, for example, what scholarships are open right now? Let's see. You know what? I have nothing in mind, and I'm just going to enter here and let's see what we get. We get about 4,500 scholarships. Hang on. then yeah, there it is. And we have filters here. So let's say I'm a bachelor student. I want to be a bachelor student, right? And I'm looking for scholarships that are open for application right now. And as you can see, we have about like 50 of those right now. Usually there are more, but right now there are not that many scholarships open for application. Hi there, James Bond. As always, you're here. It's great to see you. Hi, as I'm Indian, but can you still teach me how to bargain with universities? I just got my acceptance from Franklin University, Switzerland, with 17,000 Swiss francs scholarship. That's great. And my financial aid is yet to be negotiated. I didn't even know you can negotiate or bargain about your scholarship per year. It's per year. Really? That's great, actually. Like that kind of covers your entire living costs if you don't spend a lot of money, if you're frugal. And usually Swiss universities don't charge very high tuition, so that is a great scholarship. But I don't know anything about negotiating your scholarship, so I'm going to defer to Eamon. Eamon, what do you think? Oh, it's need
Um,
based. Yeah, right.
yeah, I know it sometimes can be negotiable in the sense that you can ask the university for more aid, but it's really up to them whether they would like to give you more or whether they'll stand by their initial offer. Um, I don't think there is an actual effective way to bargain per se because they have their budgets, and I don't think that uh, they're at liberty to offer more unless there's some budget left. So you can ask, but there is no guarantee that you will get more. So most of the time, they tell you this is all we can offer, and that's that. Sometimes they can actually increase their scholarship, especially when it's need based.
Right. So, okay, thank you very much, Eamon. Yeah, I guess that's all we can say about that. Hi there, Knox. I want to study MBBS abroad. So, if you can you please tell me about fully funded scholarships or links to apply? But usually, links to apply. So, Knox, that kind of depends on what country you're in. Maybe like if you can give us a little bit more information about your your plans, or I mean, I can ask Avon about like how to study, where to study MBBS, or like how what kind of fully funded scholarships exist, but we won't get much help from him unless the questions are a bit more specific. But usually they do increase for early applicants. James Bond says. Medicine. They want to study medicine. Okay, I asked for a country. But okay, maybe Eamon can give us some insights about, like James Bond said, usually they do increase for early applicants, and Knox is asking for scholarships for MBBS abroad for medicine. Do you want to say anything, Eamon?
Yeah, it's as I said, it's not guaranteed because we get a lot of messages of students who got accepted, then they asked for more and the university said no, and then they're looking for more aid somewhere else. So it's usually the case that um the offer they gave at the beginning is probably the best. It's not unheard of that they increase it, but it's not guaranteed.
Right. About medicine, what do you think?
For MBBS, there I guess it just depends on the country because some countries offer
Mm-hmm.
medical degrees in their native language. So
Yeah.
I would say that's the case for example, Japan, where uh, there are little to no medical degrees that are offered in English. So you'd actually have to m- be able to speak Japanese first. And there are many countries that follow suit when it comes to this. So it's hard to narrow down the list of countries that would be a fit if the profile of the student is not clear, what languages they speak. If it's only
Mhm.
English, then maybe stick to English speaking countries only. Maybe go to countries where they offer medical degrees in English, but that comes down to research as well to find out what universities within a specific country that offer such degrees in English. So I guess that's uh, the biggest piece of advice I can give concerning this.
Right. Man, James Bond, you're gonna have some really nice scenery. Right. So yeah, I've shared a link with you, Knox. So like that there you can look for scholarships for medical programs. The thing is, so like if you are interested in any one of them, you can just click on the program. They'll give you like it'll give you a lot of information. You can click here to go and see the university's page, and if you have any, if you see a scholarship and still have a question, you can always either come to our live stream or you can just leave the question here in the comment section, where pretty much every single question is answered by Yanli, founder of Global Scholarships. So other than that, the thing is, so we're gonna see a lot of scholarships here. About, as you can see, about like 2,000 scholarships, but yeah, the first ones are usually the ones that, when you choose a subject here, the ones that mention the specific program that you're looking for. So these are, for example, this is Kagawa University in Japan. This is specifically for medicine programs, right? For any degrees, it's not a very high amount of scholarship, to be honest. There are, like, you can of course filter here for like full funding, full tuition, or something like that. But then when the system, like our search tool, runs out of scholarship programs that is for medicine specifically, it gives you scholarships for all subjects. But that means that these are all subjects offered in this university. So if you're looking for a medicine scholarship and you see this, oh, it's all subjects, so I can apply. Well, it kind of depends on whether the University of New Orleans offers a medicine program or not. So keep that in mind, okay? But there are some good scholarships. You know what? Let me see if we can find any full funding medicine scholarships. No, specifically, actually, maybe full. Hang on. You know what? Let's look for partial funding in Europe. Because some universities in Europe, they do have very low tuitions. Um, so medicine in University of Aberdeen, yeah, not very high though. Anyway, you can apply for like other scholarships as well. Yeah, this only covers like half your tuition fee. So yeah, if you have like look into it. If any scholarship piques your interest, you can just ask us about that scholarship. We can look into that. Anyway, guys, this is how to use our search tool. You can just like, if you're interested in medicine, you can just type in medicine. Just choose that or choose an institution. And if you see a scholarship that you are interested in, you can just click on it, go to our page where you see like what degrees it is available for the university, scholarship type. Basically, there are three types of scholarships fundings. There's partial funding. Partial funding means it covers less than the tuition fees. Full tuition covers just the amount of tuition fees, and full funding, the rarest one, obviously, covers tuition and then a little bit more. Sometimes accommodation, sometimes it gives you a little stipend, maybe an allowance for something like books or other stuff like that. So this is full tuition, for example. This is engineering for engineering or medicine. And then we have the coverage here. We have eligibility criteria, like what do you need to have to be able to apply, and procedure. Sometimes we used to make videos about these as well, but it was pretty much the same, like us talking in live streams. And of course, for example, if I read about a scholarship here and had a question, this is where I would put my question. I would leave it here because, as you can see, Yanli answers every single one here. So yeah, this is how our scholarship like search tool works basically. Then if you want more information, you can just click here to go to the university's page for that scholarship that the university has. It can be yeah, okay. It was faster than normal. You can read it here from directly from the university, and then of course you can contact them for this scholarship. So that's basically how it works. I use it all the time to find scholarships to make videos about, and I think if it's good for me, a complete like layman who knows nothing about scholarships, pretty much I'm just a YouTube host to make videos. I think it's good for you, good enough for you to be able to find scholarships and research, basically. Yeah. So by the way, I was talking about like how some countries are like normally more affordable, but they become very expensive when you kind of like also consider tuition or not, or like otherwise. Some people ask me because I'm from Turkey. Some people come in the live streams and ask about Turkey. I think it was a couple of days ago. I realized that because there's a huge inflation in Turkey, and people in my country were talking about how expensive the universities, like the private schools, started to become, and I realized like Koç University, which is one of the best universities in Turkey, has become more expensive than Cambridge. So keep that in mind. Turkey is becoming more and more expensive for people coming from abroad, from other countries. For example, I like again a couple of days ago, I just realized maybe you know about this. Like, there's something called Big Mac Index. Basically, how much a Big Mac costs in a specific country to kind of like to compare countries, how expensive countries are. So in Turkey, a Big Mac right now is more expensive in terms of dollars than about 90% of United States. So yeah, if you are considering coming into Turkey to study, keep that in mind. Like if you are coming from another country that is not a very developed country, high income country, you'll probably financially struggle. And I'm just talking about finances here. Like I don't even want to get into other stuff. So yeah, keep that in mind. Turkey is becoming extremely expensive, but Europe otherwise is becoming quite an attractive option. Eamon, are there any kind of like news or something, any occurrences in like scholarship or studying abroad that you might want to mention?
Um, so lately I was going through some scholarships, and the Chevening this year closed a month earlier than the other year. So usually it closes in November, but this year it
Mm-hmm.
closed in October for some reason. So they have
Oh,
shortened the length of the scholarship, which I find really interesting. So I couldn't find a catalyst for that. They, as far as I can see, there was no reason provided for this 1 month shortening of the length of the application period. But I actually find it interesting because usually around this year, we remind students to apply for the chevening, but to my surprise, it was already closed
right.
and much, much earlier. Yeah.
So yeah, I can see it's October 7 here, so it's past deadline right now.
Yeah,
Right.
usually it's November 5th.
Right. I mean, keep it in mind, guys. So if you're interested in, because if you're interested in studying in United Kingdom, there are not that many scholarships that you can go for. Usually, because tuition is expensive, not as expensive as incredibly high quality education countries like Turkey, I guess, but still very expensive compared to like I don't know, France, Germany, Italy, or like mainland Europe. We have some scholarships, and actually, let's see what scholarships do we have open. By the way, guys, so this is very much a Q&A live stream. So if you have any questions, basically that's what we are here for. Like we talk about scholarship stuff, obviously to give some information, but that's what our videos are there for. Like you can just go and see our videos. So this is for us to be able to answer your specific questions. So keep it like feel free to ask any questions that you might have about scholarships, about studying abroad, like in general. Otherwise, it's gonna be a short live stream. Just keep that in mind. So for bachelor right now, we have some scholarships, but not really that many when it comes to full funding scholarships. We have like usually they are in United States, and there are not that many that was open last. last week, I believe. So this one is a really good one. If you're considering studying in Canada, this is, I guess, this is the best scholarship that you might apply for, except for the government scholarship. So Lester B. Pearson, this is for bachelor students. It's full funding. It gives you a lot. It gives you tuition fees, book and materials, accommodation, which I don't need to tell you is a big deal in Canada. Like rent is very, very high, especially in Toronto. So yeah, this is open, and not only this is open, but like scholarship deadline is kind of close. So like if you want to apply, you really need to be fast, like real fast. So keep that in mind. We have some, yeah, presidential scholarships in United States, Cincinnati scholarship in Cincinnati. So this is fine. Like it's about $100,000 for 4 years. And we have some, I think we have some also like ones for masters, graduate fellowships at Chapman University. So usually you have like graduate assistantships or graduate fellowships, and like basically assistantships are just like going to the university and working there. It's pretty much that. And yeah, other than that, not much really. I mean, let's look at full tuition ones in, for example, Asia. By the way, I made another short about like some very affordable Korean universities. So some of the most affordable ones in a scholarship that does not require application fee because some people cannot afford it. So usually scholarships don't really um, require you to pay application fees. You pay the application fee to apply to the university. But there are some ways to like first of all, there are some universities that you can apply without any application fees, and we've made some videos for those. We also have guides here, if I remember correctly. I cannot find them right now, but I will look into it. Free application universities. You can look into our channel to see like free application videos, no application fee ones. You can apply to those like scholarships in those universities as well. Otherwise, if you're applying to a university, usually, for example, in American universities, you can just apply to a scholarship. If you are admitted to the university or while you are applying to the university, you don't pay application fees for scholarships, but you have to pay application fee for the university. But there are some universities that can waive that, like you don't have to pay tuition application fees in specific conditions. So you might want to look into those. For example, I would go to Common App if you're interested in studying in the United States, and they have like you can apply through a lot of American universities through Common App, and they do have like a Common App do have like an application fee waiver. So if you fulfill any of the criteria there, you don't have to pay any application fee to apply to the university. So you wouldn't have to pay any application fee to apply to a scholarship there as well. Ayman, do you want to add anything, maybe any corrections or anything like that about this question?
Um, no, I think you've covered it all. Basically, uh that's it. So there are universities that
Mhm.
uh do not charge any fees when you apply, and throughout the years they're getting fewer and fewer. There are fewer of those now. Even those that were free at some point now charge application fees. But there are still other universities that don't. Um, you can apply for a waiver at some universities, of course, and they always state that on their website. So if your if your financial situation doesn't allow you to pay any application fees,
Yeah.
then you can apply for a waiver. I think these are the ways to go about applying to universities without having to pay any fee.
All right, thank you very much. So, Code with Becky says, as a person who have no English proficiency certificate like IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, Do you think I can get accepted to fully funding scholarships? I want to study computer science or AI abroad. I mean, the most obvious, but also the lame answer to this is yeah. If you are applying to a university where where English is not the like language of instruction, but then you would have to learn the language of that country. Like in Germany, you can study in German, etc., etc. But I'm guessing you are looking for somewhere we can study in English but you do not have any English proficiency. So I don't think you like. First of all, I think pretty much every university offering English courses will ask for an English proficiency, and like you cannot apply for a scholarship unless you can get into the university. I mean, even if you can, you will not get the scholarship if you're not admitted to the university. So, Eamon, this is a tricky one. Do you think? What do you think in general about this question?
Yeah, so there is no real way around this. All universities would require a certain level of English proficiency to be able to admit you. That being said, there are two cases where the English proficiency certificate
Hmm.
is not required.
Yeah.
One is if you're a native speaker, if your country is considered to be, uh, or if you're native to a country where English is considered to be a native language, then you don't have to apply for that. So, for example, like Ghana is one example where students from there are not required to provide any proof of English language proficiency as they are considered native speakers. The second option is that if you had your previous degree fully in English, so you get a certificate from your university proving that your studies or your previous studies, if you're a bachelor, so if you had your bachelor's degree somewhere, they would vouch for you that you have taken that degree in English, and that would be proof enough of your proficiency. Other than these two cases, you must take one of the English proficiency tests, be it the IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, depending on what the university asks for. Concerning the list of countries that are exempt from providing a certificate, they will always be on the university's website. So they will tell you that
Right.
students from these countries do not have to, and it will be very clearly stated.
Right. I mean, yes, it would be easier to just like get a certificate from Duolingo, perhaps, probably. But yeah, I mean, unless maybe you're from a country where native language is also used in another country for specific programs, I don't think you can just. I don't. Yeah, I don't think you can you can study abroad without learning a language that is used abroad. So yeah. So yeah, this week we're talking about like some affordable. Okay, we have most of this university needs SAT test score. I wish there's a way around it. Um, which specific universities or group of universities are you talking about? Because there are a lot of universities that I think are not looking for that. Eamon, what would you say?
Yeah, like I would disagree with that statement because most of the universities I check on a daily basis are test optional. So
Yeah.
they provide SAT score that you might want to apply with, but it's always optional. And so they tell you that you don't have to. So it is definitely not required by most universities. There are a few who still do, but the majority are just optional. They don't require any standardized tests in order to admit students. It's mostly for students who have lower GPAs and who
Hmm.
think that their GPA doesn't reflect their real level. They resort to taking the SAT to prove that um, their level of proficiency in whatever subjects their GPA shows they're lacking at is not real and is not reflected in their GPA. So they just take the SAT. Other than that, I would definitely disagree that most universities need it because they don't.
And obviously, of course, the universities that are not in Qatar University required for scholarship. Does it? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, some universities do, but for in a lot of scholarships as well, it's kind of, I guess, optional. But some of them, there are some scholarships that there's just like they don't require it as much as it is kind of given to a specific test score. For example, if you go to Korea and you get a test called TOPIK, which is test of proficiency in Korean, and like there are a lot of universities that will give you automatic scholarships based on how well you did on the test. So maybe it's like one of those. Qatar. This is Qatar University required for which scholarship is that? International Student Scholarship. This is a full funding one. With a minimum high school GPA of 95%, having good reputation and background, not receiving other scholarships and sponsorships. I don't think we have that scholarships you're talking about uh in our page, in our database. Let's look into the university. Academic scholarships, admission scholarship. Perhaps you're now, I was gonna say maybe you're looking for a scholarship. You're looking at a scholarship that is for. Okay, the applicant may apply to the admission scholarship through online, etc., etc. During announced application upon receiving. May consider applicants test scores in English and in mathematics. So, for example, for this one, it's not. I don't think it is mandatory. It just like they will consider like it's usually a way for them to be able to rank like to see how good a student you are. I mean that's basically why it exists, of course. But I don't see any scholarship that is that requires you to have it. SAT. So, which English proficiency test do you think is acceptable in most countries? I guess like from what I've seen, TOEFL and IELTS is pretty much the same, and it goes everywhere. I guess. Eamon, do you think? Do you have something like better information for us? Perhaps like oh, TOEFL is better for this situation. IELTS might be better for like these countries or something like that.
I don't think there's such a thing as that. It's just they're both equally as good and they're both accepted. So it just comes down to
Mhm.
the applicants themselves because there are different tests in so many ways, and you have to see which one works for you best. But as far as being accepted by universities, they're both accepted. So Duolingo is the exception where some
Yeah.
universities accept it, some don't, but these two are always interchangeable, and that all universities say you have to have either or. It doesn't
Uh,
matter which one.
I mean, I've never seen any scholarship or any application procedure that one is accepted and the other is excluded. It's just like English proficiency, and it's just like uh, TOEFL or IELTS is pretty much this first two that is named. Hi there, Sanal Krupu. Is it always better to include SAT score in applications or only if they're above average scores? I would guess so. I would guess like if they're not. I'm not sure what happens like if your SAT score is like bad and you kind of don't admit it. Include it. Eamon, what do you think?
Yeah, so I don't see a point if it's not required. I don't see a point in having it there
Mhm.
if the score is low. So it will just probably hurt you more than it will benefit you. So I guess if it's not required and it's low, then just don't include it.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah, I guess it kind of depends on the rest of your application. Like if it's dragging it down, I don't think there's much reason to include it. So, I mean, also, like, what would you say is the main difference between TOEFL and LTS? You said like they would work for like different, like they have different aspects, and like I never taken any either of the. either of that or any other like proficiency test. Like what would you say, for example, if you're maybe you would say like if you're this type of person or like you're better at this, I know like speaking or listening or something like that, IELTS is better for you. If you're something more into this type of thing, TOEFL could be better for you. Like, could you give us any information about that?
Um, so generally the TOEFL is notoriously known for being longer than the IELTS. I think
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it goes as long as 4 hours, and many students don't really like that. Uh, it is in some ways easier, but the length doesn't really help. Generally, you take the TOEFL just with a computer. You don't have any uh, human interaction when it comes to the exam, whereas the IELTS, you in the speaking portion, you usually have an examiner who talks to you either in person or through a live call. Whereas in the TOEFL, you just talk to the computer through a microphone, and that's that. So for people who feel like they would be anxious talking to a person, uh, just in person or just a live video call, and they would feel like they wouldn't perform as well, uh, it's better that they take the TOEFL because they don't really
Mm-hmm.
have that pressure of talking to another person. And for people who feel more confident talking to another person and think that they would do better if there is a live interaction, then IELTS is for them. Um, I think there is a portion in the IELTS where you have to describe a chart and describe a map, and that's not in the TOEFL. Most of the questions in the TOEFL are just uh, MCQ, so it's multiple choice questions.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I think these are the main things that I can think of on the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there are a few more differences between the two.
Okay, thank you very much. So Colin Becky says, what documents should I prepare while applying for scholarships? I mean, I wanted to stay prepared before their admission began. So can you tell me, sorry, what documents shall I own at least? So first of all, like you can see our tests and documents section, like what to get, like documents. Also, you can read about proficiency tests, standardized ones, etc. And like usually, you can also, I would advise you if you have a specific country that you want to apply for a scholarship in. I would advise you to go to our country guides, and let's say you want to apply to a scholarship in Australia, and like we do have stuff here about like documents and tests needed, uh, like review, recommendation letters, complete guide to GMAT, um, or like hang on, applying to university complete guide, etc., etc., etc. So first of all, that is like usually a lot of those are like you would hang on. I was gonna just defer to Eamon, and our Zoom call just ended, so it's gonna be like a minute of lull in here. Um, so first of all, regardless of what happens, like whatever you read, you will always have to go and read specifically about the scholarship. So let's look at any scholarships, right? Hi, Eamon, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you as well. Great. So I was saying there are specific uh, documents that you would always kind of need. For example, let's look into this and hang on. Application deadline. So in our scholarship application procedure, you can look into these. Like a lot of these will be pretty much the same with you applying to university, like your credentials. If you have any like proficiency or something like that. Ayman Koywoodbeki says, what documents should I prepare while applying for scholarships? I mean, I wanted to stay prepared before their admission began. So can you tell me what documents I shall own at least? Like they're asking for like a basic uh, list of documents that you would need pretty much for any scholarship. Would you like to say anything about that?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So the list of documents is, for one, scholarship dependent.
Hmm.
So some scholarships require more documents than others. And for two, it is country dependent. So
Yeah.
what country you're coming from. And to have a comprehensive list, I think my best advice is to go to our section of scholarship recipients, then filter by nationality to your nationality, then go to any of the stories there, and then go to how did you prepare to apply for the scholarship section, and then there they will most applicants would give you the full list of the documents they had prepared prior to applying for the scholarship. And most of them state that the first step they had to do was to check the university's official website for the required documents. So it's as simple as that. And the moment you apply for your first scholarship, you will have most of the documents you need.
Yeah.
And most of the time, you would have to add one or two or just remove one or two. That would be the case most of the time. So I think to have a comprehensive list, this is the best way to go about it. And you'll start to see what documents most applicants prepared before applying for scholarships. It's usually their letters of motivation, recommendation letters. These are usually documents that you should get quite early, especially for the letters of recommendation, because you'd have to reach out to uh, your teachers to give those to you, and that might take some time. So I guess that's one of the most important documents to secure pretty early. The rest is really up to you. And when it's in your hands, you have time to do it. Whenever it's up to other people, you have to secure those documents first. So if it's uh, a teacher is going to give you that, the earlier you do it, the better it is for you because they're busy and you don't have any timeline as to when they're going to give it back. So it's better to ask early. But when it comes to other documents, you can get those whenever you want.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much, Eamon. Um. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all we can say about that. And so yeah, guys, if you have any other questions, feel free to ask them in the chat. Yeah, I didn't talk about scholarship stories. Sorry about that. So basically, scholarship stories are let me do like yeah. Right. We have a couple of hundreds stories here, apparently. So these are people who have earned scholarships that are very popular, like Dean's Award. Here we have Commonwealth Scholarship, Chinese Government Scholarship. Um, so let's see again, Chinese. So like basically the best scholarships you'll find, and global scholarships find these people and have them tell their story to us. For example, you can just like filter for country. Let's say Germany, right? And a lot of these people will be people who earn DAD scholarship, which is the government scholarship in Germany, which is one of the hang on, what? Yeah, which is one of the most competitive scholarships, government scholarships, because Germany doesn't have a lot of full funding scholarships anyway. So I think if you're going for like a big scholarship, a popular competitive scholarship, um, the best thing you can do is to go to our scholarship stories section, look for that scholarship. You can just click on that scholarship to see all the stories that we have and just basically read about these people who have won, who have earned that scholarship, right? Their journey, scholarship details, educational background, how they prepare, how's their experience, like what did they do to apply, what would they do differently, what advice would they give, and I think the best thing here is a lot of these people are sharing their LinkedIn or other social media contact information. So, like, if you want to go and apply for a DAD, basically you can just add this person on LinkedIn and directly ask your DAD questions to a person who have got DAD scholarship. I think this is like the best thing you can do if you're looking for a really big scholarship. So they are very, very much useful. While preparing a letter of recommendation, which one do you suggest? Writing the letter as general for all universities or specifically for one university? That's a very specific question, so I'm going to defer to Eamon immediately. Eamon, what do you think?
Um, I'm not sure why they're writing the letter of recommendation.
I thought they
Uh,
to get the recommendation letter, like targeting a specific university, or call it with the key. We're talking about personal statement. I'm not
yeah,
sure.
that's what I'm trying to. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to understand whether they mean their personal statement
Like,
or the
wouldn't
letter,
personal statement
because
already be targeted to a specific university when you apply?
yes, yeah, it definitely would. So my answers would be different depending on whether it's a letter of recommendation or a personal statement, because or a letter of motivation. So it's the same thing.
Right.
For letters of motivation, they're university specific, they're scholarship specific, and you have to be as specific as possible. Because if you write a general one, you're doing it completely wrong, because they're trying to find students who actually understand the the goal, the objectives of the scholarship, and they're trying to find their target students. And if you don't demonstrate that you understand those goals and objectives, you are never getting that scholarship. So that is one big thing when it comes to applying to scholarships, is to actually demonstrate that you understand what the scholarship is about, and then demonstrate that you want to use it in the way it is intended to be used. That being said, for letters of recommendation, they come from your teachers. Um, yes, there are cases where students write them and then the teacher reads them and then they're happy with what they read. Sometimes teachers don't have time, they ask you to write it, they read it, and then if they're satisfied, they will say that that's what they think. But it's less common now, because generally the teacher has to submit it themselves. And
Yeah.
even in that case, you can write it and then they submit it, so that's also fine. But generally, you'll have to talk to your teacher first before doing that. So you don't just write your letter of recommendation and then go to them. So it's up to them whether they want to write it or they want you to write it and then they vouch for it. Yeah. So I guess in in the case of a letter of motivation, it has to be as specific as possible. But for the letter of recommendation, it doesn't have to be. It can be very general, and you can use it for all of your applications, basically.
Hmm. Okay, thank you very much, Eamon. So yeah, guys, if you have any other questions, just like we because we're gonna end the live stream in a couple of minutes if you don't have any other questions. So if you have any, just write them in the chat. We're gonna do our best to answer them for you. Otherwise, we're gonna kind of end the live stream here. Should I say to whom it concerns or just to university name? Amen.
We still haven't gotten the answer to our main question.
Yeah, right. Is that a recommendation letter, personal statement? So okay, we're gonna wait for that information for a couple of minutes, and after that we can perhaps end the live stream. So I want to do like more stuff about like I don't know, like world knowledge about like talking about countries, etc. as well in the live streams. That will help us pass the time. Do you guys have any recommendations, like things that you would be interested in? Perhaps like we can talk about learning languages. We can play like Wordle or stuff like that. Because this is like I don't want this to be like I come in just talk about scholarships and like ceaselessly and then end the live stream. Uh, I think it would be better for us to like if it was more chill. We can wait for questions to appear. So yeah, if you have any recommendations, we might consider those doing stuff. I don't think we can play like GeoGuessr or something like that. Although there's a game called Time Guesser, which is a really good game because it's like it's not like GeoGuessr where you have to guess where you are, but it also like it's a photo. Why am I telling you? Hang on. It's I play this all the time. I really like it. Is that no? I'm not interested. Continue the game. So like they give you a photo, and you not only have to guess where the place is, but also the year from like 1900 to 2025. And it's like I've realized that I'm terrible at timing the photos, even though I study history. So yeah, I think this is a much more fun game. Um, which one do you recommend? Focusing on one uni or country and uh, okay, which one do you recommend? Focusing on one uni or country and waiting for their scholarship program, or searching all over other countries with my desired field of study? So you do realize, Codewood you still didn't give us the answer about whether you're talking about a recommendation letter or a personal statement. I'm gonna take this as you being 100% satisfied with our answer. So we're gonna move on to your next question. So I think that kind of depends on the field of study. Like if you're maybe if you want to study something specific, like medicine or something that would really help you study in a specific country, I guess then program over location would be kind of better. But if you're looking for more like your experience, your finances are more important for you. You're more looking for that study abroad experience rather than getting really, really, really specific, like targeted education on a specific subject. I think looking for certain countries or regions can be a better idea because they do have very specific features, aspects like it's going to be a very completely different experience if like studying in Japan or United States. But if you are looking for, I don't know, let's say you want to study AI, and like China, for example, is a very good place for that, or United States, uh, or like maybe you want to study engineering again. Japan or Germany might be very good choices, or like there are some subjects that are very country specific, but other than that, I guess like looking for a specific country or region might be better. Eamon, what do you think?
I guess either approach is fine, really. So, as you said, it's situational. Um, you can narrow your field of search. You can make it as broad as possible to improve your chances of getting scholarships. And both approaches are valid. I am of
Hmm.
the opinion that you should just apply to as many scholarships as you can in as
Yeah.
many countries as you can, because why not? It it really helps, and there is a higher chance of getting a scholarship somewhere. So, uh, just do that. But if you want to focus on a specific country, on a specific university, on one scholarship, there is nothing wrong with that because there are many, many students who focus on only one scholarship and they got it. So it's there is no right or wrong way to approach this.
All right. Yeah. I think there are a lot of fields of study that studying a specific country doesn't really matter all that much. But then there are ones that, yeah, you better get it in, I guess, I don't know, Kazakhstan is the best at studying architecture, so let's go do that. Are there need-based scholarships? Yeah, yes, there are need-based scholarships. That is a very much a quite broad spectrum of scholarships. Basically, there are need-based or merit-based. So that's what James Bond was talking about. Like, for example, there are financial aid scholarships in United States. They don't like they are like the amount or whether you get it kind of depends on whether you really need it or like your what is your financial need. In the previous question, I was asking about the letter of recommendation. I noticed that some letters start with "to whom it may concern," while other begins with the name of a specific university. I'm not sure what advantage "to whom it may concern" would have over the specific university name, but still, let's go to Ayman for that. Or expert Ayman. What do you think? Ayman?
I don't
Hi.
think you should say. Oh, sorry, I was muted. I was talking with.
Okay, sorry.
Um, yeah, you shouldn't say either of those things. You should just write. It's not when we say it's a motivation letter. It's not a letter per se where it has the format of a letter. You just have to write about your passion about the subject, your passion about the scholarship. You have to show that you have made your research, you understand the objectives, but there is so the opening is just an introduction rather than to whom it may concern or to dear someone. So you just don't do that. You just get straight into it. That's how it usually works. So I wouldn't really worry about that. Just do your research about the scholarship and then write about it. I think you can find many, many samples online of letters of motivation. And again, it's not a recommendation letter. So for recommendation letters, they're completely different and they're written by your teachers. Uh, they're not written by you most of the time. So you're mainly talking about a letter of motivation, and it doesn't have that format that starts as a normal letter would.
Okay. I don't see any other questions. So we're gonna finish our live stream here unless you come up with a very quick fast question. Thank you very much. Okay, hang on. So need-based scholarships are only in the United States. No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. There are need-based scholarships pretty much everywhere, right, Eamon?
Um, I'm not sure about everywhere, but I think it's mostly the US. Most other universities, whether in Europe or Asia, just give
Hmm.
uh, at least to international students merit scholarships.
All right, I didn't realize that. Okay, so it's mostly in US, right? I'm trying to do medicine. Do you have any idea of the best university I can go? So like, we made a couple of videos about like the best medical schools in a specific country, but other than that, like, I guess the best university you can go for to study medicine is like the highest ranking medicine university. Like you can just the highest ranking university you could find. I mean, other than that, if you have a specific question, like a specific thing that you're asking for, make it a more detailed question. Maybe we can like a scholarship. because I got 3 A stars at A level. I want to do medicine. From your experience, any best place to go or any recommendations or like in terms of worth it for money? Okay, okay, this is a much more manageable question, and I'm gonna defer to Eamon. Eamon, what do you think about this?
Yeah, just sorry. Concerning the previous question, I saw some samples of motivation letters that start as dear admission committee. So
Mm-hmm.
you might consider that if you want to take that format. I was just looking that up.
Okay, what do you think about this last question? Like they say they cannot afford like $50,000 a year, more like 20,000. So if that's the case, I would prefer like I would advise you to look for something perhaps in um, Asian countries would be better to find in that tuition range, or I guess Europe. There are a lot of very good universities in Europe. I'm kind of excluding United Kingdom because United Kingdom, like 20,000 a year, is not Malaysia. I don't really know much about Malaysia, so we're gonna ask Eamon that too. But like in United Kingdom, you can find universities with like about 20,000 tuition a year, but usually I think medical schools can be higher tuition, medical schools tuition, so you need to look into that as well. Eamon, what would you give as an advice?
Yeah, so we talked about medical subjects earlier and how some countries just teach them in their native language.
Mm-hmm.
So that is always a big consideration, even if tuition could be cheaper, for example, in Asia.
Yeah.
Um, Medical course could most likely not be taught in English. Malaysia is a good country to consider, but I'm not very familiar with how medical subjects are taught there. Um, so if you're talking about a budget of 20,000 a year, uh, so I would assume that it's not just tuition, but tuition and living expenses, because that's a big thing
Mm-hmm.
to clarify. 20K would get you anywhere in Europe. So
Yeah.
Austria, the Netherlands, Belgium, France, but I'm pretty sure that medical subjects are taught in French in France. Uh, but in the Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Hungary, I would assume that they're taught in English. So these are all countries to consider, and I think that the tuition would not even exceed um, 10,000 euros.
They say because like Monash in Australia is about 80,000 a year. In Malaysia, it's 30. Do you think it's worth it? I could probably afford it. And they say they don't really want to go to Europe, with the racism. Um, I'm not sure if Europe is more racist than, let's for example, Australia. Yeah, like you would face more racism in Europe than you would in Australia or even Malaysia. I'm not sure if you know, like, if you have much information about Malaysia, but usually we hear about racism against tourists or foreigners in like Western countries, in like United States, sometimes in Europe or like in specific countries. But just because we don't hear about racism in some other countries, like perhaps less developed countries, absolutely does not mean it doesn't exist there. For example, in Turkey, like if you are living, I don't know, in anywhere in the world, probably you wouldn't hear about racism in Turkey as much as you hear about racism in United States. It absolutely does not mean Turkey is not like in Turkey you won't face as much racism as in United States. So I wouldn't unless you know something about Malaysia that I don't, I wouldn't assume that in Malaysia you would face less racism compared to, like, let's say, I know, France, for example. So that's it. That's a kind of a different question. But Eamon, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if I would really uh completely discard the specific country
Mm-hmm.
for example, racism,
Yeah.
and put a country over it just because I would assume that there is less racism there, but like the likelihood is that in the country where you assume there's no racism is the country where you'll face the most racism.
Yeah.
Uh, to me, when it comes to education, I wouldn't really uh factor that in. I would just focus on the universities themselves, the quality of education I'm gonna get, because at the end of the day, it's all about education. Unless you plan on uh living there for the rest of your life after finishing your education, it's just temporary. You're just gonna get your degree
Yeah.
and that's it. But if you plan on staying there, then that's a different
That,
consideration,
yes.
and then you'll have to actually vet the country in more ways than one. So we don't really know your motivations and what you're looking to do after the degree, but before before getting the degree or
Mhm.
while you're trying to apply, the most obvious options for your budget, yeah, you do need English proficiency. Uh, because in most of these countries, like the Netherlands, Belgium, Austria, Hungary, uh, the uh, the the medical courses are taught in English, or at least there are a few universities that do. Oh, well, if English is your first language, then you don't even have to provide any English proficiency
I think they're
tests.
they're asking, like, do you need to learn the local language, or like English is enough, like, or in what situations English is enough?
Yeah, for education purposes, English is
Mhm.
enough.
Okay.
And most people in these countries, at least, are mm, in Germany. No, no, no. That is a common misconception. Well,
Yeah.
it depends, actually. So I had a meeting with a university in Germany once, and I asked them the same question. I said I thought that in order to apply to any German universities, you need a certain level of German proficiency. They said no, you just need English, and if the program is not in English, you don't need any German. You don't need any proof of German proficiency.
Mhm.
So, and I don't know why for the longest time, many people, including me, thought that you do need a certain level in German to be accepted at German universities. But if the program is taught in German, then of course you would need at least a C1 level. Other than that, if it's in English, then sometimes I did see that they would ask for a minimal level in English, sorry, in German. There are some universities that do, regardless of whether the program is taught in English or not, you do need a certain level, like a B2, sometimes it's a B1, but you do need to provide that. There are other universities that just accept English and that's it. They wouldn't really require any German. So it's university specific. And
Yeah.
I have seen both cases.
All right. Thank you, Eamon. So thank you, Senal, Kerpo. My day was great. I love Fridays because I get to come here and talk to you and talk to Eamon, like, do the live stream. It is just always fun. So yeah, my day was great. It's going better, actually. So, Colwood Becky said, my last question for today. What common mistakes should I avoid while applying? Thanks very much for your amazing program. Thank you very, very much for joining in. We are here every Friday. You can just join in. Eamon, what do you think are some of the most common mistakes?
I think that probably the biggest mistake is to write something that you think you would use to apply uh, to any university. So not being as specific as possible is gonna really hurt your application. So if you think that I'm gonna write this one motivation letter and I'm gonna use it to apply to every university that I have on
Mhm.
my list, you're gonna fail at every single one because they're looking for something that is specific to them, that is tailored to their university, to the scholarship, and you need to demonstrate that you understand everything about that scholarship, everything about that university, what they stand for. Um, and this is the best way to show them that you have made your research, you are really interested, you are really motivated to apply to this specific university, this specific scholarship. And that's why it's called the motivation letter. You have to demonstrate your passion and how it led to you pursuing studying at this specific university and pursuing this specific scholarship. They all need to align. Otherwise, your application is going to come off as ingenuine or disgenuine, sorry. So
Okay.
you're not gonna sound, oh, sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're not gonna sound authentic, and uh, the person on the other end reading your motivation letter is not gonna feel that you are actually uh, a good fit for the scholarship because your passion doesn't show, and it's a big, big thing. I think other than that is that always get feedback. Don't think that your motivation letter is perfect once it's done. You need feedback. You need to reread it yourself. Just leave it on the side for a few days, for a week, for 2 weeks, then read it again. And you can see that you can make a lot of improvements to it. And then also give it to other people and they give you feedback. And then you can improve it from there as well. So never think that it's perfect. Always look for a second opinion, and also just look for your own second opinion after sitting on it for a while. Uh, yeah, I guess these are things to consider. They're not, there are no common mistakes per se because it's not objective.
Mhm.
There is no, it is not scored. The committee doesn't release the motivation letters and tells you why these were denied or why these were accepted. So there are no objective criteria to judge a letter of motivation, but so we can't really say that there are common mistakes, but at least we can give some pointers as to what to do and the things you need to do right in order to submit a good letter of motivation.
All right, thank you very much. Amen. And Regular Short says, I completed my app for Kais and almost done with Postec. That's great to hear. Regular, I hope it happens. I hope like you get, because both Kais and Postec are really good universities. So by the way, you applied for the Kais scholarship as well, right? Because if I remember correctly, you apply to this while you are applying to the university. So I hope you get it. I hope you get the scholarship as well. It's a really good university, KAIST, one of the best technology universities that you can get. It's I think one of the things that don't really get mentioned enough about KAIST is that was it Daejeon? I think it was in Daejeon. It was not so. It's like it would be way more affordable than a lot of other good universities in South Korea to live in, even though it's really close to Seoul as well. No separate application. Are you sure? If I maybe okay, maybe they changed it because if I remember correctly, when I made the application tutorial for Kaist, that like you could apply just like with clicking a box or something like that. Okay, I hope you get it. I hope you get like whichever you want more. Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. If you're watching this as a VOD after the live stream, thank you very much for watching. And we'll be here next Friday, and we'll see. Maybe it will be both of us. Maybe we'll be joined by Jan as well. So yeah, thank you very much, and thank you, Eamon, for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, As.
Okay, see you everyone. Have a nice week, and bye.